The ocean supplies a lot of people with a livelihood, you know. It's a sustainable resource that has to be managed properly, like our whole planet, I believe.
For hundreds of years, people around the Bay Area have relied on our local ocean for food and income. Off the coast of California, the Dungeness crab population has thrived for thousands of years. Entire industries and cultures have developed around this natural resource. The crabbing industry today is heavily reliant on the health and condition of our ocean. In the face of climate change, this natural resource has seen many transformations in the last 10 years. Recent studies have shown the crab population to be smaller in size, have thinner shells, and contain the neurotoxin known as domoic acid. This toxin harms the organisms and prevents the sale and consumption of crabs. This wide range of new issues affecting the environment and population has had drastic effects on the people who rely on this resource for an income. Delayed fishing seasons have left these men struggling to make ends meet, and now the crabbing industry, historic to the Bay Area, is at risk of closure.
The vessel that I work on is a 300-foot factory trawler where there's a crew up to 131 people. We're fishing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the season.
I own a commercial crab boat, a couple of them actually, and I'm a commercial crab fisherman and salmon fisherman. This year, the Southern District opened, which again is from the Sonoma-Mendocino County line. Domoic acid levels were high near the Russian River. So the season was closed from Bodega Bay north. Domoic acid is a naturally occurring toxin. It has been higher than acceptable in at least some part of the state of California, it seems like, for the last 4 years. So it's really a Northern California issue.
It's going to be harmful to the resource, to the environment, to people's livelihoods and things of that nature.
The plankton blooms that create domoic acid definitely are more likely to happen in warmer water.
Typically, the California coast would not be a receptor of the algae that causes domoic acid, but due to recent effects of climate change, the local crab population has been exposed to this toxin. Water temperature and ocean acidity are increasing at dangerous rates. The ocean is projected to rise 1 to 4 degrees Celsius by 2100, and this is due to the ocean absorbing over 525 billion tons of carbon dioxide since the industrial era. The higher the temperatures rise, the higher the levels of domoic acid become present on the West Coast.
Over time, things can evolve and adapt a little bit, but when things happen at a rate that they're happening now, some species might start falling out or become more susceptible to other issues that are going on at the same time as climate change.
And so yes, I have seen some changes as far as global climate change and things like that. And it's right here every day in our face. So it's not going away. We need to address it and deal with it.
It is having effects at ecosystem levels. It's affecting, the food chain, and it's projected to increase a lot more.
Over the last 15 years of fishing, I've seen it fall off pretty fast. So I learned from this season, and I will hold that for future years. The domoic acid is going to be an issue in crabbing, whether we like it or not, whether you agree with why it's happening. It is going to be something that's tested and something that we deal with every year.
The loss of revenue due to domoic acid and other climate-related issues has compelled the federal government to issue a disaster relief fund of $200 million to the West Coast Crabbers Association. The suspension of recent seasons has caused losses of up to $40 million per year. These losses have already had severe effects on the crabbing industry within the Bay Area, impacting the lives of people who rely on this natural resource to sustain their livelihood.
People who have their livelihood based on a fishery are going to be much more concerned than the average person.
There are people that depend on this industry. You're trying to keep everybody busy, right? You don't want your crew to quit. You don't want them to not have any money for Christmas.
We have a lot of climate change and things like that, it's not going to be possible to make a living.
I would prefer, if I could, to fish right here in San Francisco and get my season here. The seasons aren't setting up like that lately. So this season I have chosen to fish in Crescent City, so I have not fished in San Francisco. So I plan to fish up there as long as it's profitable for me to do, as long as it's worth me staying out of an area where I live.
As far as the future and a viable fishery, I don't know, but I mean, if the oceans die, we die. And so we need to take care of our planet and our oceans. Otherwise, there's not going to be a fishery, and there's not going to be a lot of other things. And, we're part of this whole deal. And the quality of our life is going to change drastically, and probably not for the better.